bless you all.
Amen.
God bless you more.
Amen.
I would like to first thank the Lord for this opportunity and the privilege of being asked to speak on behalf of my class, the Associate's Degree class. I would like to say good evening to our esteemed guests and faculty of STBC and fellow graduates of the class of 2019. May I also say God bless you and welcome all the family, friends, brothers and sisters in the Lord that have all shown up to support your family members. Also, a special blessing to my wife and my children, my mother and father, friends and family that came to support me as well. My pastor, Moses Alasea, for being here in this achievement that I have come to get.
Hallelujah.
I will begin this speech by saying that speeches are not my thing. Ever since I was informed that I would have the privilege of being the speaker, I was so nervous I couldn't put it into words. Especially last night. The Lord brought me to STBC. It is a wonderful place that I have come to know. The people are wonderful, and the teaching was excellent. The fact that I'm up here tonight, as I said, for those that knew me before I was serving the Lord and walking with Him, would know that God does miracles because of the fact that I'm up here. I was the kid that was in school that couldn't even do a class presentation. Right away I would get sick. I had to go to the nurse. I'll let my partner handle that. And those were my friends, and I couldn't be in front of them. But the things that God has done in my life, He has put me in a place where He has brought me tonight in front of all of you. My fellow classmates who I've gotten to know well, the other fellow graduates I have not had the pleasure as much of, and the rest of the STBC family. As I sat in front of my laptop last night, trying to come up with the right words, and I was failing miserably, my little girl came up to me, and she was looking at me, she said, "Daddy, what do you have so far?" And I showed her a blank screen. I said, "Honey, I'm not doing well, and I'm running out of time." So she looked at me with a smile and she said, "Well, Daddy, just tell them about how wonderful the classes were, how much you enjoyed them, and how cool the teacher was." And then she looked at me and she said, "Daddy, it's easy. I can do it if you want me to." So I told her, "No, but I see what God is trying to tell me through you." So let me tell you just a little bit. As I've been coming to the Lord and working with the Lord, and He's been, better said, working with me, there's been a lot that I've been learning. A lot that I've been learning in my home church, a lot that I've come to learn here, and still much more that God shows me on His own every day. The more I seek Him, the more He comes to me. The more I look at His Word, the more He reveals it to me. Because He wants to be sought after. I remember driving down Route 22 and I saw this huge billboard. If you're laughing, you know what I mean. This huge billboard for STBC. thinking to myself, wow, I want to do some studies. That looks like a nice place. I'll do some research. But then, it goes on the back burner because life happens and you're moving around and you forget. But the Lord would never let it leave my mind. Sometimes I'd be sitting there quiet and that billboard would come to my mind. And I said, okay, God, I really got to start looking more into that. I got to see what that's all about. I had come to a point in my walk and even in my life that when I graduated high school, I didn't want college. Part of it was because, to be honest, school was boring for me. I can only be honest. It was boring for me. I didn't enjoy it. I knew I needed it and I did the best I could. But to sit there and tell myself, okay, I'm going to go another 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, whatever, to go do something I wasn't even sure of. Because at that point, I wasn't serving God, so I didn't know what He had in store for me. So in my mind, college was never an option. And then, once I started serving the Lord, when He found me and started working with me, I said, you know what, God, I want to know more about you. I want to learn more, and you're showing me through your word. And when I seek you, you show me through your word. But is that enough? Do I need to seek out people that are going to teach me, or are you going to teach me all by yourself? Because as we all know, if God is teaching you, there's no better teacher. But at the end of the day, the Lord places men and women in institutions and places to help us.
Right.
As it was said, rightly divide the word of truth. You have to learn. There's always a process to go through. Sometimes even just sitting in class and watching someone else teach you is a point of humility to yourself, to sit there and say, you know what, I don't know everything. I may look at the Bible and say, you know what, I think I know pretty much, but I don't know everything. There's always somebody that knows more than you, whatever the topic is. So after speaking with my wife and praying about it and talking with my pastor, and we discussed it, we came to realize that it was a good opportunity for me to come. That it was a blessing in disguise, because a lot of the other institutions that I looked at were just financially above my means. A lot of them were too much of a time strain that I would never see my family. As well as conflicting with the own schedules of my home church. So it was a great blessing when I started doing the research and I saw, wow, Mondays, 1 day a week, I can do that. And then I started looking it up and I said, wow, that's the complete price of tuition? I can do that. That's a blessing compared to what I was looking at. And it doesn't conflict. And it doesn't conflict with my home church schedule. This is sent from God. In Romans 12, verse 10 and 11, it says, be devoted to each other with mutual affection. Excel at showing respect for each other. Never be lazy in showing such devotion. Be on fire with the Spirit. Serve the Lord. The two things that stood out to me when that verse came to my mind was excel at showing respect to each other and be on fire. Those are two great qualities that I've learned over time, but I've seen exemplified here. From day one, even as somebody who did not attend this church, I was treated with nothing but respect. Was addressed as an equal, as if I had attended here myself. There was no separation that I noticed, no favoritism. It was just rightly dividing the word of truth. As far as the fire goes, I have to thank the STBC family and Apostle Dukes as well for lighting, or I shouldn't say lighting, but reigniting a fire within me. A fire, a hunger to serve God and want to do what He called me to do. Because we all know that sometimes if we're not careful, the pressures of life, the pressures of even ministry, even church itself sometimes starts dwindling away at that fire. Sometimes we find ourselves so busy running back and forth, that the fire starts going down instead of up. We have to find time to reconnect with God, but we have to get that fire back. We have to get that fire to start burning brightly again as it did when you first came to Him. Before all the noise came, before everything stopped, and before the titles, before everything else, you have to keep that fire burning brightly for God. I remember as we sat in class, I remember the apostle came in and he was speaking with us and sharing things with us from his own life and walking. And I remember early on, he said that something to the effect of, I'm gonna have to blow your minds. I don't remember if those were the exact words, but it was along that pattern. I'm gonna have to blow your minds because some of the things that you may have been learning, we have to put them in context. Some of the things you may be seeing for the first time. Some of the things may have been ideas that you might have been serving God with that are not necessarily 100% biblical. So he said, I have to shake you around a little bit. I'm gonna have to get you to think. And I remember thinking, wow, this isn't good because I thought I knew stuff. And I left that first day and I sat in my car and I said, you know what? Now I know I don't really know stuff. But a second thought came across my mind just as quickly and it said, you know what? I can't wait to go back next week. Because as it was also said, never be afraid or ashamed to say I don't know. Never be afraid of correction. Never be afraid to see another side of what you've been looking at. We learned just a little bit more than we laughed. Because our class, I don't know about the other classes, but our class, we had some fun. We had a lot of fun. From the questions that ranged between all of us, to just the teaching that he brought to us. But it was always an environment that made you feel blessed. It was always an environment that made you leave feeling better than when you, leave with better than when you came in. You felt the presence of God was there. You felt it in the teaching, you felt it in the joy and the emotion that the apostle displayed when he talks about it. Because in a lot of places that you go, that's what's missing. The joy and the fire in the person that's talking about it. That's what's missing. And that's something that was so beautiful that I realized instantly when I came. Because you couldn't be around him for more than 5 minutes without just actually getting excited as he was. Because I came into class nervous, not sure what to expect, but like I said, about 5, possibly 10 minutes at the most, I was laughing and jumping around as much as he was. It was a blessing to be around so many different people coming from different areas, different backgrounds, as well as being able to see the different levels that we were all on. Because we're not all the same and we're not all on the same spot in our journeys. But the beautiful part was that we didn't have to feel left out because we weren't as high or as behind as somebody else. Everybody interacted and treated each other equally. Everybody looked at each other regardless of whatever question was asked. We had a good time with it. We had a great time. But at the end of the day, we learned. And in some way, we became family. Because we laughed together, we experienced a little piece of each other's lives. A little piece of each other's walk. And those things are the things that bond you together. When you have, and I'll finish with this, excuse me. We have to remember that in our path, everyone that comes upon us, we will either be a branch on their fire, or we will be a cup of water on their fire. And in the same way, we get that too. Every person that we come upon, we give them the same thing as they're giving us. Either a branch or a cup of water. One's going to put out this fire, one's going to keep it burning brightly. And at the end of the day, from what I've learned here, and the pleasure of the people that I've had the company of during class, they've all become branches in my life. And they will continue to be branches in my life. They will continue to be doorways that the Lord may have future openings for. And I want to thank God, the apostle. I want to thank STBC, all our friends and family, and especially from my class. Congratulations, guys.
I'd like you all to hold your applause until I read everybody's names. And then after I've read everyone's names, then you're feel free to cheer and clap and hoot and holler or whatever you want to do. Okay, we're all in agreement? Awesome. Okay, as I call your name, just come forward and pass through the procession. Jessica Adams. James Amato. Roseanne Amato. Anthony Anfiteatro. Marian Yarta Kamara. Joanna Castro. Hewley Diggs. Theodore Dowie. Anthony Gegbefuman. Evelyn Gegbefuman. Amber Gonzalez. Ruby Guillard Jones. Garris Cormandy. Francis Ola Oke. Inez Rogers. Magda Velez. And Sion White.